Welcome to the Launch and Landing channel. Today from the paragliding area at Niesen. Here I'm now in Spiez at the main landing of the Niesen paragliding area. The landing site is just behind me. And Niesen mountain is up here. The train up to Niesen starts in Mühlanen, a couple of kilometers outside of Spiez. The train was built in 1910 and at the top the tracks are nearly vertical. From the summit we have a splendid view to Frutigen Valley. Up here the launch sites are located. At time of visit the pilots try to get out at several different places. First of all, there was this takeoff to the southwest, just at the bottom of the restaurant. Second, and this is an official takeoff, the south takeoff. Third, we do have two options towards the west. And finally, not official, but some pilots also tried to use a takeoff to the northwest. The takeoffs directly below the restaurant are the quickest to reach from the train. Wind directions from northwest to southwest are possible. The slope is on rocky terrain with many bumps and potholes. The wind situation is not totally clear. Pilots are preparing to get out to both directions, southwest and northwest. The altitude of these takeoffs is on 2,280 meters. The height difference to the landing is almost 1,500 meters. Just a couple of meters below, we see a pilot launching from the south takeoff. This is an official launch site mentioned on the website of the local club, Burn Air Map, and in the DHV database. So as we can see here, even though the wind is from the north, a lot of pilots are preparing themselves to get out to the south. The slope is quite long and steep, and if you go further down, you have better protection from the wind. Also, in north wind situations, none of the takeoff points on Niesen are recommended. South takeoff is slightly lower than the takeoffs below the restaurant. So here another view to the south takeoff. You can see it's very steep, but it is grassy, and so I consider it is not too difficult to get out. This south option also allows south-southeast and south-southwest direction. A couple of meters further down, we can already see the windsock of the west takeoffs. This is the west takeoff of Niesen, where also west-southwest is an option to get out. The terrain here is also steep, but it's not as bumpy and no obstacles can be found. More and more locals came around to the West takeoff. Discussion about the changing wind situation was going on. According to the local club, a good indicator to check out the wind situation is the weather station on Mount Molisson, which is about 40 kilometers to the west. Here a good overview of the West takeoff and the South takeoff to the right-hand side. And finally, one pilot is launching. Meanwhile, one of the pilots gave up at the South takeoff. So wind situation seems to be quite challenging here, sometimes at Niesen. Caution is advised for takeoffs from May to end of August between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. On strong thermal days, the valley wind can sweep over Niesen. According to the local club, it's worth checking the wind situation on the viewing platform in case of doubt. Also to mention, there is a lee at the eastern part of the mountain. Let's move on to the landing areas. There are basically two landing sites associated with Niesen, one in Spiez and the other one on a farm next to the mountain. This behind me now is the landing of Niesenflankenhof, which is more or less 10 minutes by foot from the cable car station. The windsock at the barn cannot be overlooked. The terrain is sloping down slightly. Here we can see the landing area from the drone. The landing is located between the house and the barn. Landing should be done as close as possible to the road, not to damage the meadow. The landing pattern, if the wind is down the valley, is to get in from the north. Usually the wind is up the valley. In this case, the landing pattern should be done from the south. There are two major obstacles, the barn and, in case of overshooting the landing area, also the small wooden hut at the end of the landing site. Normally there should be a laminar wind up the valley. This makes landing predictable, but the owners of the farm also reported pilot in the trees who didn't make it to the landing site as the wind was too strong. Niesen's main landing is in Spiez, about 3.5 kilometers by air. With the car to the cable car, it's about 7 kilometers. Actually, the landing area is huge, more than 150 to 150 meters. But you're only allowed to land where the grass is mown, and this changes throughout the year. To the eastern part of the landing site, we have some vines and some buildings that can be considered an obstacle. There are two windsocks, one windsock right at the road, and the main windsock, the important one, is up here on the farmer's building. Finally, there's a board at the landing site with important information. On the map we see Reichenbach Airport east of Niesen, which may not be overflown.